Let's be honest, the popular story about how people get rich is a complete myth. It's sold to us like it's a lottery ticket, that one viral moment, that high-risk bet that pays off. But the truth is, real sustainable wealth isn't found, it's built. And in this breakdown, we're going to deconstruct the disciplined, systematic, and often frankly unglamorous principles that actually generate millions.
So every person who wants to build wealth is really standing at a fork in the road. On one side, you've got the common narrative. It's all about hype, complexity, speculation. It's chaotic. On the other side, you have what we'll call the wealth principle. This path is all about systems, predictable cash flow, discipline, and the undeniable power of compounding. We're going to focus entirely on that second path because it's the one that actually works. And to really illustrate this, we're going to walk through a case study. We'll call our subject Harry. Now, Harry started his journey completely caught up in that myth of excitement. He was convinced that high-risk, high-drama ventures were the only way he was ever going to achieve financial freedom.
His starting point? It was completely ordinary. By day, he was an operations coordinator in the logistics industry. But by night, he was a speculator, pouring his energy and money into trendy business ideas that had no real underlying value. This is a really common place to start, and it's also a predictably unsuccessful one. At 32 years old, his net take-home pay was $3,419 a month. Look, it's a respectable salary, but financially speaking, it's a cage. That's a static income, and it's just not enough to build real financial independence. This number right here is the baseline. This is where his transformation began.
And the result of chasing all that hype isn't just losing money. It often leaves a physical reminder of the failure. After trying things like dropshipping and crypto, he launched a clothing brand, which left him with, literally, 3 boxes of unsold hoodies sitting in his hallway. This is what happens when your strategy is built on hope instead of a solid system.
But that failure was actually the catalyst for a huge strategic pivot. He completely gave up on chasing excitement. Instead, he started to analyze assets that were interesting not because they were glamorous, but because they were necessary and utterly predictable. The big aha moment came from a core idea in the book, The Millionaire Next Door, that most real wealth is generated by the owners of these necessary, dull, normal businesses. He didn't just see this as a nice piece of advice, he adopted it as his guiding principle for every investment decision moving forward.
So he began this systematic analysis, looking for patterns in what self-made millionaires actually owned, and 6 specific, often overlooked asset classes kept showing up again and again. Let's take a look at each one.
First up, laundromats. The investment thesis here has nothing to do with washing machines. It's about monetizing a non-negotiable frequent consumer habit. People will always need clean clothes. That demand is constant and predictable, and that leads to a reliable, almost automated stream of cash flow.
Number 2, vending routes. This model is all about leveraging 2 things: captive audiences and low-consideration purchases. The work is simple. You refill the machines, you collect the cash, you repeat. Its profound lack of complexity is actually its greatest strategic strength.
Third on the list is self-storage. Now, this is an asset class built almost entirely on a quirk of human psychology. We get attached to our stuff, and it's a pain to move it. So once a customer's things are in that unit, the cost of switching, both physically and emotionally, is incredibly high. That leads to extremely low customer churn and very predictable long-term revenue.
Fourth, the local car wash. Think of this as a pure play on operational leverage. You make one significant investment in the equipment up front, and then that investment is paid back over and over again through a high volume of small, repeatable sales. The asset itself, not the owner, is what does the work.
Fifth, we have recurring home services. This is stuff like pest control, lawn care, or pool cleaning. The real asset here isn't the service itself, it's the subscription-based route. You acquire a customer once, and their recurring payment becomes a predictable, contractual stream of revenue.
And the 6th asset class is property management. This is what you'd call a service-based asset. So instead of buying the expensive real estate yourself, you monetize the operational headaches that property owners are more than willing to pay you to handle. It's a highly scalable model that doesn't require a ton of capital.
Now, these businesses weren't chosen at random. They were all selected using a very disciplined framework, a 3-filter test that every single opportunity had to pass. This framework is really the intellectual core of his entire strategy.
And the framework is built on 3 non-negotiable questions. First, is the revenue recurring?
Meaning, does the customer pay you at least monthly without you having to chase them down? Second, is it a low-drama decision for the customer? Is the price small enough that they don't have to agonize over it? And third, is the underlying asset that generates the cash actually ownable? The question fundamentally shifted from, could this be huge, to, does it pass the test?
Okay, so we've gone through the theory and the strategy. Now, let's look at the results. These are the hard numbers, the financial outcome of applying this disciplined approach consistently over a 6-year period. This table, right here, shows the critical turning point. His salary from his day job stayed the same, but the income from his growing portfolio of assets was dynamic. It was increasing. The moment his boring income surpassed his salary, he achieved true financial leverage. He was in control.
And this timeline just visualizes the power of stacking those acquisitions. He started with almost no capital, but each deliberate move added another cash-flowing asset to his portfolio. The growth wasn't some single dramatic event. It came from relentlessly stacking these assets one on top of the other for 6 years.
And this is what his 7-figure net worth was actually made of. It wasn't one big windfall. It was the calculated sum of its parts. Equity in the laundromat, his share of the storage partnership, the value of the vending route, plus profits that were systematically reinvested. Each one of those boring assets became a critical pillar in his financial fortress.
Look, the specific assets he chose are almost secondary. The real goal here is to internalize the investor's mindset, to adopt the core principles that drove this outcome, because they can be applied to any business.
The entire strategy really boils down to 4 key principles. 1. You have to reframe boring as a synonym for stable. 2. Prioritize stacking multiple predictable streams of cash flow instead of chasing one big lottery ticket. 3. Run every single opportunity through that 3-filter test. And 4, and this is the most important part, you have to have the discipline to execute a simple plan with unwavering consistency over a long period of time. So this all leads to the final and really the most important question for you. Forget all the noise about viral trends and speculative bets. Of these 4 foundational principles, stability, cash flow, systematic evaluation, and long-term discipline, which one, if you applied it with absolute commitment, would most fundamentally change your own financial future? The answer to that question will define everything.